Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today is Thursday, and we're just going to read some stories that have to do with the Parsha a little bit. Some Rebbeisha stories, some Tzaddikim stories, some holy stories. I think just two today. And they're just like, stories that are based off of Inyanim that are in the Parsha. So the first Inyan, that's this week's Parsha, it says in the pasuk, "Vayihi Esav Ish Yodea Tzayid." Esav knew how to hunt. He knew how to trap people. We all know the famous, that he made himself look like he was a very big tzaddik to his father. Really, he was just tricking him, right? So there's a story over here, which is a very interesting story that has to do with the Chazon Ish. It says over here that when the city of Bnei Brak was just starting out, it was called the Moshav back then. Right, they were looking for somebody to be their sheikhet, right? And the Chazon Ish, I guess whoever was the heads of the people then, said that they should start looking for somebody to be the sheikhet of Bnei Brak. So they were looking around, and this one guy came to try out or whatever, to get tested or whatever it was. And he looked like he was a good yid, he had a long beard. He looked like he had a lot of fear of heaven upon him. And he knew a lot of he was a baki in halacha. Everything was good, right? He was very excited. He wanted to give to the Moshe, he wanted to do everything, right? So before they said, okay, they said, you have to go speak to the Chazon Ish. He needs to give the final haskama over here, right? So he went into the Chazon Ish. He spoke to the Chazon Ish. And after he left, he said to the people who were in charge of the city, he said, you should not hire this guy. And they were like, what? This guy seemed like the best guy. He was a sheikhet, he was a baki in halacha, he was a Hirsh, everything. And so they said, what do you see about him that's so bad? And the Chazon Ish just said two words. He said, his beard is long. He has a very long beard. And they didn't understand anything, what that meant at all. So anyway, a few days passed, and it was revealed that this person was actually a very big criminal. He sold an apartment to 3 different people without them knowing. He also sold land to other people, and land that was not his. And he also did a lot of bad things, right? And he had to run away to America because of the fear that everybody was going to chase him, put him in jail, whatever, right? So now they came back to the Chazon Ish and they said, how did you know that this guy was such a bad person, that he was doing all these things? So the Chazon Ish said to them, it's very simple. He said, if it was like a shoemaker, right? Somebody who was like a shoemaker or somebody, and he was coming with a very, very long beard, I would say, okay, fine, this guy is a Hirsh. I have no reason not to believe that he's not a good person, So I would say, fine, But this guy came to be a sheikhet, and the whole entire time that he spoke to me, he was just stroking his beard the whole entire time, that I should just pay attention to his beard. He didn't want me to pay attention to anything else besides his beard, because he wanted to try to trick me that he was a good person. But really, I was able to see past that, and and see that he had nothing else besides his long beard. So that's an interesting thing. That's like Esav. Esav knew how to trap people, and this guy thought he knew how to trap people, but he could not trap the Chazon Ish. So that's one story. It's a cool story too. This story is a little bit longer, and this story has to do with the wells. In the Parsha, it talks about the wells that Yitzchak found with the water and all these things, right? And they had the whole fight about the wells and everything like that. So let's see what the story is about over here. This one is pretty interesting. It said, one time a person who lived in a small village, came to ask Rav Hirsh of Zidichov. I think it's Tzvi Hirsh of Zidichov. This is the Zidichover. Right? This little villager, they were building this big hotel next to his village. And somebody said that he could rent it out, and start making money, start making a parnasa. But he said that the problem is, he told the Rebbe, he said that there's no source of water next to it, right? There's no natural spring, there's no well. Back in those days, they didn't have water, so you need to go to the well. Right? He said there's a different hotel that everybody goes around the whole way on a much longer way, just because there they have water. So people who could stay in the hotel could, their animals could drink, they could have water, everything like that. But they're not going to come on the shorter way, which is where my hotel will be, because there's no water there. So he said, so the Rebbe said, don't worry about it. Go rent this hotel. Rent it for a much lower price, though. And then, after you start building, hire some workers to dig a well. And when you get down to a few amos, come back to me and I'm going to tell you what to do. Right? So when you get down to like 10 feet, tell me what to do. Right? So the guy went, he rented this building, he rented this hotel, right? And he dug a hole, everything like that. And he came back to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe said, dig a little bit more, and now put this little petek there, a little note that he wrote on it, this pasuk from this week's parsha, Vayivoyu avdei Yitzchak vayidu loy oides habe'er shechafru vayomer loy matzonu mayim. Right? The servants of Yitzchak came and they told them about the bear, about the well that they dug, and that they said that we found water. Right? So the villager came, he took this petek, and the second he put it inside this hole that they dug, water just came splashing forth from the ground, from deep in the ground, and the bore was filled with water, and everybody knew, and then all these businessmen, all these travelers started coming his way, right? And they would buy from him wheat also and everything like that, and he became very, very rich in a very short amount of time. So then what's going to happen? So then the non-Jew who had the other hotel on the long way that I mentioned before, he saw that nobody was coming to his place anymore because this guy had water now, so everybody can go to him. So he went to the Paritz, who was the actual owner of the hotel. The villager was just the renter of the hotel, right? And he told him that this Jew who rented the hotel from you, he tricked you into doing it like a very, very low price. You see how much hatzlacha he's having. You should have charged him much more and everything like this, right? And now he's getting rich. And what about you? So fine. So he said, you know what? If you give me more money, then you could rent this hotel, and I'll kick out the villager, right? So he said, okay, fine, let's do it. So now this Jew is going to be left without any parnasa. So what's he going to do? So he went back to the Rebbe, of course. So he went back to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe says, take another note. Take a different petek. That's written on it, the pasuk, V'chol ha'be'eres asher chafru avdei aviv b'mei Avram aviv sitmum pelishtim vayimalum afer. Right? And all the wells that they dug, the servants of his father Avram dug in the days of Avram, the Pelishtim closed them up and filled them with dirt, right? He said, now put that inside the well, right? And he said, throw it into the well. He did it, and then the water completely stopped flowing, right? And then all the water that was already in the well left anyway, and now it completely dried up, right? So now, what happened? So the people in the village, these non-Jews traveling and everyone else, they were very shocked to see that this was happening, right? It was just gone, it just disappeared one day, right? That this was like this famous well that came out of nowhere, all of a sudden is gone, right? So they came to this Paritz of the Baal Malone and they started complaining in front of him. He said to him, all the time that the Jew was living in this hotel, that he had this hotel, this well was flowing, and it was a good source of water for us, not only for the hotel but also for the villagers who lived around him, right? And now all of a sudden this guy comes and then the water is gone, right? And now nobody's going to come to the hotel. We're not going to be able to buy. We're not going to be able to sell stuff, right? So what's going to be, right? It was like Corona, there was no more work. So they all were very sad about this, right? So the Paritz understood what was going on over here, and he said to call the Jew. He went to the Jew, he said, I'm sorry that I kicked you out of the hotel. It wasn't right. This guy tricked me and everything like that. I'm asking you for forgiveness. Please come back to the hotel like it was, and I will never kick you out again. He says, I can't do this until I ask the Rebbe. So the Jew said, of course, I gotta go ask the Rebbe. Let me go see what's going on. So he went back to Zidichov, and the Rebbe said to him, he says, only if the Paritz is going to rent you the hotel at the first price. Not sure what first price he's talking about. He's talking about the first higher price or whatever, I don't know, whatever. He's saying do that. And also then you have to put another petek in the well, which is written on it, Vayachbor be'er acheres, v'loy ravu alav, vayikra shma rechoyvois, v'yomer kiyata hirchev Hashem lanu uparinu baretz. Another thing to do with the well. Anyway, the guy went back, and he did what the Rebbe said. He offered him this price, and he threw this petek in, and the well came back, and then everybody came back, and everything was good. Me'az yoshim b'maloin b'nei banav shal seicher hu v'royim boy bracha v'atzlacha v'ein poitzepeh, and nobody opened their mouth ever again. So that's pretty crazy, man. Yeah, the inyanim of the wells in this parsha is always a big, very interesting inyan. A lot more going on than I think just from the regular text. But anyway, those are cool stories, and I hope that you guys enjoyed them, and we will be back next week with more videos, Siach Sarfei Kodesh, Breslov history, more stories, starting to do some Hanukkah stuff also. Anyway, have a good Shabbos, and bye-bye.